colleagues.
Matt Morgan is here to make his time now.
I am the very DNA of TNA. I am 7 feet, 330 pounds, without an ounce of fat on me. My name is going to be remembered in wrestling annals for years to come.
The physically biggest American gladiator in the history of the show.
I graduated college first in my class while playing 2 sports to boot.
Matt Morgan has signed on to have his DNA sent to the International Space Station.
The most genetically jacked.
The absolute potential of human genetics.
I am the blueprint of the perfect athlete.
The future of this business.
And gentlemen, the future is now.
Single most important thing that separates the men from the boys is respect.
You have no respect. None. When you find it, you come back and talk to me.
I'm the embodiment of respect. I respect everybody I encounter.
Matt Morgan's thinking he was doing the right thing in Kurt's eyes, but it's obviously pissed Kurt off.
He is refusing to allow the blueprint to raise his hand.
I will give you my position in the Mafia if you can beat me at Slammiversary.
Champion or no champion, I'll guarantee that this guy right here, the blueprint, is getting in the Mafia.
Matt Morgan faces the icon Sting. If Morgan wins, he joins the main event Mafia.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next match at TNA Slammiversary is scheduled for one fall. It is a special contest where if Matt Morgan wins, he gets Sting's spot in the main event Mafia. Introducing first from Fairfield, Connecticut, the Blueprint,
He considers himself the biggest free agent here in TNA. He went to the main event Mafia. He lobbied to gain a position with the Mafia. He got turned down, and now he gets an opportunity for a one-on-one matchup against the icon Sting with a big payoff in the future for the Blueprint.
Well, absolutely. And to clarify things, what happens here, if Matt Morgan can get this win, then he gets to join the main event Mafia. He gets to be a part of what he's been seeking here for the last few weeks. I mean, it's another one of those situations that you got to question. What's Sting thinking? He didn't have to put that stipulation in there. Give Matt Morgan credit. He got in Sting's mind.
His opponent represents the main event Mafia and is from Venice Beach, California. This is the icon Sting!
Doesn't matter where you go, Mike.
Soak it in. The response, as you can expect, here in Detroit, Michigan for the icon, it's thunderous. Everybody on their feet in the Palace of Auburn Hills as Sting makes his way down the ramp.
It gives you goosebumps. I mean, if you don't, you're not human. I mean, it's just unbelievable how a crowd reacts to this great legend. And I mean, let's face it, it's that it factor. The bottom line is, Sting has it. And it's not something you can buy, it's not something you can develop. You either have it or you don't, and Sting has it in spades.
If you recall, Sting initially turned down the Blueprint Matt Morgan when Morgan approached him about joining the main event Mafia. As Sting tells the story, it was more due to Morgan's lack of respect as Sting perceived it. Of course, Morgan completely turns things around and feels like Sting rejected him because Morgan had never been a world heavyweight champion. That one thing that separates all the members of the main event Mafia from everybody else.
I got to give Matt Morgan credit knowing this. He was able to push the right buttons. I mean, he had nothing to lose. Here's a situation where he's not a member to begin with. So he just kept pushing the right buttons. I mean, listen, I always think back of that match that he had with Kurt Angle and how Kurt Angle, when it was over with, shook that hand and gave him the respect that you give a competitor that you know has done an incredible job. And I think you have to look back on that and wonder if Sting's bit off a little more than he could chew tonight by allowing Matt Morgan to become a member of the main event Mafia if he beats him.
And if this goes down into a power game situation, what we have seen here in the opening minute is going to lead to Matt Morgan joining the main event Mafia. because he completely has overpowered Sting. You saw it, the first contact that was made is Sting going out to the concrete, and then Sting is sent directly into the guardrail. Morgan, Blueprint, gonna take Sting, but just having his way with him.
Look at that.
Elevates him, lifts him up, and flings him again into the steel.
How impressive is that? I mean, he's made a point. Yeah, he's not a world champion, but the bottom line is this. If he beats Sting here tonight, well, he's beaten one of the greatest world champions of all time. And you know what? About all of them being world champions in the Main Event Mafia, it's not like it's a law. It's not like it's a rule. It's just something that you brought up that they all have in common. And I think they would be impressed with this guy. I mean, look at that move. For that size to be that agile, but here's the experience of Sting.
Morgan, as he tried to get back into the ring, cut off by Sting. And Sting is there, drops down with all of his weight as Morgan is hung out on that top rope, and the Blueprint gets kicked off by Sting, and he comes right here to the broadcast table, and Sting drops down to follow up the advantage that he has.
No substitute for experience, and now this time Sting feels that he's got the momentum. He knows he needs to put him into the guardrail and steal. You saw him kick the back of the leg of Matt Morgan, trying to take the wheels out of Matt Morgan, and that's what you got to do, a man of that size, a man of that agility. You've got to take his legs out from underneath him, and Sting going for him right away. Impressive.
Systematically, we see Sting do that. And Don, you know, as Sting works on the legs of the Blueprint, Matt Morgan, in the back of Sting's mind, the icon is thinking Scorpion. Wear down the legs. The big man get Matt Morgan down on the mat and set him up for that Scorpion, and as Sting comes across Morgan, the Blueprint just decks him with the clothesline. And Don, I have just received word in my headsets here that Team 3D, Brother Ray and Brother Devon, yes, they have arrived here in Detroit, Michigan, flying all the way from, well, they wrestled in Osaka, Japan last night. I checked with our travel people. They had to go from Osaka to Tokyo to Detroit, and they have just arrived here in Detroit. We will have that TNA World Tag Team title match with 3D and Beer Money later tonight.
Well, they have a flair for the dramatic, don't they? Team 3D has made it on time. Wow, what a shock. But I'll tell you something, look at Matt Morgan right now, just doing what he wants to the icon Sting, not being intimidated at all by being in the ring with someone that great. You know what? I think that match with Kurt Angle, not to bring it up too many times, but
no,
I think that gave him so much
confidence. This leg
confidence.
drop, pin, no. You've got to go back to a match like that. It's one of those matches where careers are made. When you get in the ring with Kurt Angle and you take him to the test, when you take him to the limit like the Blueprint did, I know he gained Angle's respect.
I'll tell you, Matt Morgan's been climbing that mountain. I mean, not just the Kurt Angles, but he's beaten the likes of Abyss in matches and so many more. I mean, you've got to get experience before you can have experience, and that's what he's doing. But this would be one that you put, this is a feather in your cap that's just unreplaceable. You beat somebody like Sting, it puts you on the map and everybody knows where you are.
Intimidation tactics from Morgan as Sting goes out to the center of the ring. Drops him with the side slam and right on him for the pin with the leg hooked in two only, says referee Rudy Charles. And boy, you got to give Morgan credit in this matchup against Sting.
Well,
he's been in control much of the match.
I talked to Sting before this matchup, and I'm like, you know, what are you going to do with the likes of him? And you know what, Sting makes some good points. He said, hey, I've been in the ring with guys just as big, just as strong, just as agile. But the bottom line was hey, wow, that was years ago. It's a different game now. I mean, can he still find that right moment, that right edge? And the crowd, I'm watching the crowd, is there. They're almost just in awe of what Morgan's doing right now. Look at just toying with him.
7 feet tall, well over 300 pounds. We've talked about the perfect physique for professional wrestling. Drops down with the leg. Morgan rolls under the bottom rope. Right on Sting for the cover, and Sting gets that shoulder roll before 3.
I used to call this walking the dog, Mike. I mean, you basically just lead him where you want him to go. You got him on the leash, and you're in total control, and that's exactly what Matt Morgan's doing. Look at this now. He's doing everything. Just a masterful job. Look at how he's got the throat, the arm around the throat, taking the air out of Sting. I mean, Sting needs something. Sting needs something. You almost hate to see this, but look at Sting. He's still got to fight. It's just not enough at this point.
Another pin attempt and another 2 count. You've got to admit that the Blueprint's game plan to this point in time has really worked to perfection. He's had an answer for anything and everything that Sting has thrown at him, and at the same time, he's controlled probably 75 to 80% of the match.
I mean, if I'm any of the other members of the Main Event Mafia, heck, if I'm even Sting, I'm thinking to myself, what would be wrong with having somebody with this ability in the Main Event Mafia? I mean, think of the good that he can do for him. I mean, he is just showing the world what he's about, and yeah, he's not even there yet. He's still learning. Think about that.
But at the same time, if Morgan wins, then Sting is out of the Main Event Mafia. Series of elbow shots, and Sting stops, puts on the brakes, and Honey with that shot. Morgan comes right back, answers, and Sting again.
I'll tell you, Sting just putting everything in those punches. The thing about it, though, he's taking everything that Matt Morgan's given him, and he goes right back at that leg with the kick. I mean, you got to look at that again to the leg. That's the experience of Sting. I mean, how about that? I mean, Matt Morgan's got to be thinking, what do I got to do to end it? The guy keeps getting up.
Sting in the corner, and as Morgan comes right at him, he's able to move out of the way, and Sting gonna go high risk. Wow! Missile drop kick by the Icon off the top, and I think Sting realizes, he senses that he's got to go with some kind of an outrageous game plan, turn this offense totally up here against Morgan to compete.
I agree with you 100%, and he's doing it. Oh, buddy, he just walked into that carbon footprint.
It's deadly. Here's one. Here's two. Oh,
wow.
Man, that was close. Morgan just this close to becoming a member of the Main Event Mafia. And again, we know what a hothead Morgan is as he tries to intimidate the referee.
Well, the referee shouldn't be intimidated. He's got a job to do in there.
You know what this is. Pointing to his watch.
Elevator.
It's elevator time for the blueprint. Gonna push the button. Gonna check the watch. Gonna take Sting up into the air.
This could be it. Oh, look at Sting, though. Oh, able to try to turn it around, but he couldn't quite do it. Here he goes. One, two, no.
Two only.
I'll tell you, though, you got to give Sting credit, able to just get out of that move. Just being able to give every last effort that you got to get yourself out of it. Oh! Sting doing whatever he's got to do. That's the experience. That's something Matt Morgan will realize.
Sting uses the first Scorpion
death drop.
Scorpion death drop on the big man. Matt Morgan.
One.
Scorpion.
No.
Two only. Now think about this. That Scorpion death drop on a 7-footer like that, I don't think he really had it cinched in 100% like he wanted.
Well, and again, he's taken such a beating from Matt Morgan that he can't be anywhere near even 60-70%, but the bottom line is the heart that the champion has. I mean, he's in control of the match. Look at this. He's going to put the Scorpion on him.
Submission hold applied, but immediately the blueprint is able to power out. Sting didn't really even have that thing set. Morgan to the corner. Sting sidesteps him. Second row. That time he hit it better. Scorpion death drop. One, two, and got it.
Here's your winner, Sting!
Now that's how you do a Scorpion death drop on a 7-footer, Mike. Just go up a little higher.
Give the Icon credit. We talked about how he had to change his strategy. We saw moves like a missile drop kick off the top. When the Scorpion death drop didn't work from the mat, he goes up to the middle rope and connects. Sting gets the win. Now before we hear from AJ Styles and Samoa Joe, check out this huge announcement concerning TNA's biggest pay-per-view of the year, Bound for Glory.